So the three critical questions are, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this website? And what am I supposed to do here? Now, what's interesting about those three questions is they're all self-centered. So let me do it another way. Am I in the right place? How do I feel about this website? What am I supposed to do here? We're selfish. When you answer those three questions, here's what you're doing. You are aligning the user intent with their experience on your website and your company goals. When those three things are in alignment, that's where you make.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Scott Brandley, and I'm here with my co-host DJ Sprague and our special guest today, Marty Greif. Marty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. And how are you both doing today?
Better now that you're here.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't heard that in a long time, but okay.
We're really excited to have you, Marty. And I have the pleasure of introducing you for those that don't know who Marty Greif is. He's a digital marketing expert. He's an author and renowned speaker who's captivated audience worldwide with over 25 years of experience in sales and marketing. He brings an unrivaled level of expertise and a passion for driving revenue growth. He's also the author of True Connections, Relationship Marketing in the Digital World, which is a fantastic book. You really have to read this book. If you're in online marketing, e-commerce, it's a really good read, packed with insights, strategies, behavioral science, proven results, and proven strategies that Marty has executed on websites. And we're going to get into his background and why he's here and how he got here.
Well, thank you for that introduction.
Why don't you tell us about how you got into conversion rate optimization and how did you come up with your company, Site Tuners?
So I've been in marketing for forever, it feels like. And I remember way back when, before digital marketing, taking over a position as director of marketing for a very large publicly traded company. And my first week on the job, they showed me their lead generation, which was a mailer. And I said, well, how did that work? They said, well, we got a 7% response. I said, oh, that's really good. How many clients did you get out of it? Well, we don't know. Well, how many leads did you get out of it? Well, I don't know. And so this whole thing wasn't tracked. And I'm like, but we can track all of this stuff. Even this is pre-internet. So it was always about having something going to the end user, all right, and tracking the response rates back. And digital marketing just makes it easier. And I guess it's about 12 years ago where I took that philosophy. I was asked to join Site Tuners as VP of Sales and Marketing. And the founder of Site Tuners, Tim Ash, said, Marty, we really need you to come on board. I want you to be the adult in charge, which I thought was really funny. But he was serious. All right. And I went, oh my God. So, we changed the business model. We started growing the company. We were having a blast. And then the two other founders said, you know what? Now that we've gotten to this stage, I think we'd like to do something else. So they said, what if we gave you the company? And this was in 2018. I said, that sounds wonderful. What does give mean? Give didn't mean give. So after we worked out the terms and I bought the company, we closed May 2019. We've been doing just an extension of what the company's been doing since 2002 and having a blast. And since I took it over, we've tripled in size. So far, so good.
That's a great sign. Obviously, that speaks to your sales and marketing abilities and your just innate ability to see what a website needs to drive engagement and conversion, which, of course, is all in your book. And again, you got to get the book. It's a fantastic read. So what is a typical process for Site Tuners to optimize a website for conversion?
Well, this is actually sad. The first thing we typically have to do is make sure their analytics are correct. I can't tell you how many people come to us and their analytics just aren't tracking or set up correctly or double counting and I'd say it's like almost 9 times out of 10, we have to start with the analytics because you can't improve things you're not tracking. You just can't. I mean, you can guess at stuff, but that's not conversion rate optimization. So first we do that. The second thing we do is learn the client's business in some painful detail. We then look at best practices. What can we do to get immediate wins? So let's be realistic. We've been doing this for 20 something years now. And we've done this for small companies to multi-billion-dollar companies and everything in between. So we know what works a lot of the times. And so we can create a punch list right off the bat that are the things that people should do, on like an e-commerce site to increase their sales and their conversions right away. And we tell people, these are the things you should do. And yes, we can test them because we're big believers in testing, or you could just do them. And then we talk about what's the strategic things we do and what are the testing processes afterwards. But getting those quick wins are always important for every ecom client, because we have yet to meet the client who says to us, hey, Marty, could you do something strategic that takes 6 to 9 months to maybe a year to do, and we see no value until the end of it? We haven't met that person yet. So we're always doing quick tactical wins until we earn the right and the trust to start doing the bigger strategic things.
So what are some of those examples of those quick strategic wins that I'm sure you've done over and over and over? Because most websites make the same mistakes, right? So you see the low-hanging fruit, you go in there and you fix those big strategic errors or design errors, message errors, navigation errors, whatever the case may be. Can you give us some of those examples?
Oh, yeah. I can tell people that if they just do these 3 things, and if someone lands on their homepage, they will increase the conversion rate for the people who land through the homepage anywhere from 10 to the most, maybe 25%, and that's the people going through the homepage. Now, in fairness, there's lots of other pages people land on, and I get that. But if you track who's going through your homepage and do these 3 things, you'll have a win. First, if you don't have a phone number in the top right-hand corner of your website or the click to call icon on mobile, you need to put it up there. Real companies have a phone number up there. It's a trust badge. All right. And we're talking to the trust experts here, right? So phone number is a major, major trust element. Now, does it increase phone calls? Yes. But I promise you, I promise that it increases conversions a lot more than it increases the phone number, the phone calls. And you know what? You can even put your hours of operation. So that's number 1. Number 2, we see this all the time. They have these rotating banners because they all want to talk about all these things that they've got. And so now the third thing that you want to do is you want to have a value proposition in your banner, and in that, whatever you're proud of, right? And there's a difference between a selling proposition and a value proposition. A value proposition is what it is that you're proud of as a company, and your selling proposition is how you would describe that. Now, underneath the banner, you want to have some visual navigation. You sell whatever products you sell on your e-commerce site. And if you can group those by categories, and there's a visual navigation, it makes it really easy for people to see that they can trust you because they've got the phone number. They see your value proposition and how you describe it as your selling proposition. And then there's visual navigation. This works on mobile as well as in desktop, and it increases the conversion rate off of those people that enter the page anywhere, like say, from 10 to at the most 25%. These are simple things that you can do that will absolutely make a difference. We've had clients where I tell them this for free, and they've come back to us and they said, oh my God, Marty, we made on an annualized basis an additional $1 million a year just doing what you told us. And if this is what you tell us to do for free, I can't imagine what happens when we pay you, right? And so... Anyway.
Love that. I talk about the phone number all the time with our clients, and it's one of the first things. You've got to have that phone number. And like you say, click to call if it's mobile, because it just gives that sense of you're real. You're not hiding behind a website. I can access you. It's all about connectivity. And you talk about it, true connections, right? People want to connect on an emotional and a personal and a real level. And the more access for connections you give them, then the more safe and secure and appreciated they feel. And they trust you more because you're giving them access points. If you don't give them access points, they don't trust you.
Exactly.
So in addition to the pointers that you give people initially, what kind of services do site tuners typically provide? Like, do you do design, copy, testing? What services do you typically offer?
Well, the first answer, Scott, is yes. Okay. Yeah, we do that. We do all that. So every client's a little different. So we do all the analysis work. We work on their analytics and their heat maps and figure out what's going on. We create the strategy and the flow for a website for tactical and then strategic changes. We create wireframes. We'll create visual designs. And just a comment on visual designs for a second. Everybody has a web designer where they design a website, but I will tell you, design for conversion is massively different than just standard website design. There are all sorts of tricks to that to get people to have their eyes track to the conversion elements. And so when we hire a new designer, it takes us, 6 months to a year to teach all the new ways to do it and get rid of the bad habits on design. All right. So we do those designs, we do testing, we do implementation of tests, we do development for some of our clients. And the reason we do all of these services is because we learned the hard way what happens when you just tell people what to do. In the old days, we would tell people what to do and they would find new and unique ways to come up with bad ideas. So it's like, what are you doing? And I'll never forget this one guy. He said, well, you said to do this, so we thought this would be even better. No, just no. Okay. So then we said we started doing like the wireframes and we do the designs. And then we gave people designs. And what they implemented and what our designs weren't the same. I was like, how is that possible? We gave you Figma files. We gave you layered Photoshop files. How does the website now look like what we gave you? So we wound up having to do development work. It's like, are you kidding me? Now, do we want to do development work for everybody? No, we'll do it for those who need us. Do we need to do the designs for everyone? Well, we always like to do at least one so they see how we want to have design for conversion, but we don't have to do all of these for everyone. Every client is different. And so we base what we do on a monthly basis for them on what's going to move the needle and what resources we're filling in that they may not be able to do themselves. So, big long answers. I'm sorry. Every time you guys ask a question, I'm on a ride somewhere. So sorry about that, guys.
It's great, great feedback, though. So going back to training your new people, your designers, your employees, your optimizers, you talk about the 3 critical conversion questions in your book. Could you share what those 3 critical conversion questions are that you make sure all of your website designs are executing on?
So the 3 critical questions are, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this website? And what am I supposed to do here? Now, what's interesting about those 3 questions is they're all self-centered. So let me do it another way. Am I in the right place? How do I feel about this website? What am I supposed to do here? We're selfish. When you answer those 3 questions, here's what you're doing. You are aligning the user intent with their experience on your website and your company goals. When those 3 things are in alignment, that's where you make sales. That's where the money is. When any one of those is out of alignment, you have a lower conversion rate. So for example, if they have a user intent, but you focus more on your company goals and not their experience, and you're pushing them like, buy this, you're just pushing them away. Okay. Those 3 things have to be in alignment and in harmony. And if you answer those 3 questions, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this? And what am I supposed to do here? On every single page on your website, those other 3 things will be in alignment.
Yeah, good point.
So you talked about some things that people could do on their homepage. What are some strategies that people could do on like their product pages?
Well, one of the number one things on the product page is when you've got your calls to action, all right, which is to buy and add to the cart or whatever you're doing. Make sure you have trust near it. Now, great trust happens to be social proof. But here's the thing. I'm about to give you my money and I'm about to buy something. I need to know that I can feel safe here. And social proof absolutely makes a difference, right? And there's multiple types of proof on a website, but right near that call to action, having reviews, testimonials right underneath it. I can't tell you how many times where it's like, here, buy stuff. And there's no trust there. There's no social proof. There's nothing there. And why would I trust you to give you my money? I don't know who you are. You might be 2 guys in a cave in Afghanistan trying to steal my money. There's no proof. Okay. I need that trust. I need that proof to know it's safe to give you my money.
Well said. So true too. Those trust signals, proof badges are really important to establish that credibility, that authority, expertise, trust, even things like, years in business and how many customers served and showing your location. People love to know that, oh, you're a real company and you're in Columbus, Ohio, and here's your phone number and you're real and you've been in business for 13 years and you served 97,000 customers and you're a member of the BBB and the Chamber of Commerce and all of those little trust badges that just consciously and subconsciously are signals of credibility, trust, authority, and stability. People want to know that you're going to be here next year if they have a question or a return issue or a warranty issue, that you're going to be there to help them out. And that stability is important. And any signal that you can convey is obviously going to help transfer that trust.
So in your industry, as being in the CRO, is there a specific split test software that you particularly like or that is more effective than others that you found?
Mostly agnostic when it comes to the testing tools out there. There are a lot of really good ones. We like to use things like OmniConvert, Visual Website Optimizer, VWO, Optimizely. I mean, there's a bunch out there, and they'll have slightly different features, and so we tend to be somewhat agnostic on these. In the old days, when Google Optimize was available and it was free for people, our clients love free. It's like, oh, we can use this free. But I do have to talk about, you raised the testing tools. I do have to talk about testing tools. Just in one thing, even when it was Google Optimize, and if you compare the numbers in Google Optimize to your Google Analytics, which they're tied together, they never match. And so when you use a third-party testing tool, we're thrilled if the numbers are within 10% of whatever the testing tool says, or your Shopify says, or your BigCommerce says, or your WooCommerce, whatever it is, right? They never match, right? And so as long as we're in some margin of error, we're okay with that. But the testing tools, it's whatever the preference of the client is. And if they don't have one, we'll recommend one to figure out what matches for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, analytics are directional. Okay, so next question. Describe your ideal client. What does the kind of the sweet spot look like for you when it comes to the right kind of website that you can really show results and value to?
There's a few different types of answers to that question. First off, we really like clients who listen and are willing to let the data speak for itself. All right. At the end of the day, again, it's not my opinion. It's not their opinion. It's the data is telling us what's really happening. All right. We did have an e-commerce client once where we proved that our version of what we did increased their revenue by $17 million a year. And the CEO said, yeah, but I don't like it. And he reverted back to the one that was $17 million less. This is not a good client for us. Okay. And if you think I'm joking, I'm dead serious. That was a real thing that happened. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. So on one side, we're really looking for clients who will listen, who will trust the data. All right. That's one. Now, on a revenue side for a client, we really like, even though we've had clients that, have revenue less than $1 million a year, and we have clients that are $1 billion a year, our sweet spot are clients that are $5 million a year in revenue up to 100 to 200 million a year. And you might say, why? Under 5 million, sometimes it's hard for them to be able to spend the time and energy and have the resources to implement what we need them to implement. And over a certain time, they become bureaucratic. And again, clients will remain nameless. We have $1 billion clients where it took 9 months to enter into a contract. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Our standard retainer, we have people, they sign up online with a credit card, cancel at any time, and we don't even need a client, a contract. Because at the end of the day, if we're not earning our keep, you need to fire us. And if you're not coming and collaborating with us, we're going to fire you, right? But these big clients, no, I'm serious. We fire clients too. We can't do what we do without the client. It's collaborative. We're not experts in, maybe there are some sports, they're big into hockey. I don't necessarily have a hockey guy on my team, or, maybe they're into cruising in South America on the Amazon. Maybe that's their big thing. Well, again, I don't have that guy. Right? We can't do what we do without the client. And so it's collaborative. So we prefer this almost handshake agreement where we work with people and we're collaborating and so on. The big clients getting things approved and asking, just to even run a test. Well, we have to run through compliance. We have to run through legal, and we have to, oh my God. And the branding people no, just shoot me. Okay, just shoot me. Okay, so 5 million to 200 million in that range. We will take you on as a big client. We'll take you on as a small client, but we really love these people in the middle.
5 to 200 million. Yeah, that sounds like a good sweet spot. Obviously a big range there, but it makes sense. The bigger bureaucratic organizations are really hard to get anything done. And obviously the smaller companies don't have the resources to execute, which is probably why you also created so many resources to help with the design, the wireframes, and getting it done, because even decent sized companies oftentimes are so resource constrained that their internal teams, if they have them, don't have the bandwidth to actually do the tests and do the modifications and create the new pages and do the designs, like you said, that are really designed after your recommendations, not just some remote derivative of your recommendations, which of course may not move the needle.
And then when it doesn't, they go, well, we did what you said. And we're like, no, you didn't. Well, we did what you said and it didn't work, but you didn't do what we said. Okay. So we have those discussions every once in a while. I will say in fairness, we do have a couple of multi-billion-dollar clients where they're more entrepreneurial. And so we're working with teams within there, and that works. Right. But the ones that aren't entrepreneurial, those are the ones that see this gray hair right here. That's from these. No. So that's from the people that aren't entrepreneurial. So,
they're not doing the thing that you told them to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, cool. This has been really fun, Marty. We have one last question for you that we ask all of our guests. It's called the $1 million question.
Okay.
So, as an expert in your industry, what's one actionable strategy that you could share that you think would have the greatest impact on an e-commerce brand?
It's simple. Have somebody else look at your site. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a conversion rate optimization agency. It could be a friend, and ask them to tell you what you do and what your value proposition is. And if they can't tell you what you do and what your value proposition, not just like I sell basketballs. Okay. It's why should I buy a basketball for you? Have somebody else look at it. And if they can't answer that question really simply, then you really need to step back and take a look at your site and ask yourselves, are we addressing the 3 questions of, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this? And what am I supposed to do here? Because if they don't know, if they can't answer those for you and tell you what your value proposition, you're lost.
Great advice.
That's concise. Well, Marty, thanks so much. I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with Marty at the Conversion Conference for a few years. I'm also going to say you've got to get the book. It is a really good book. And if you have my version, there's $1 million bill in it, but you're not going to get my version. And also, don't forget to go to reputationking.com and download your free copy of Reputation King. That'll also help you drive conversions and trust signals. And thanks for joining us on this exciting episode with Marty Greif, a real expert in conversion rate optimization. Again, his website is Site Tuners. Go there, check it out. They're actually working with some of our clients, and it's really exciting to see the results. And it's great to collaborate with you on some of these core principles on driving conversion engagement. And it's exciting to see the outcomes and the methodology and the thought process and the real expertise that you guys bring to the table, which is really, second to none. So thanks again for joining us.
Take care.
Thank you.